You walk into your usual supermarket expecting the same old routine. But as you reach for your favorite items, bags of rice, a pack of coffee, or that crispy potato chip snack your family loves, your hand grabs nothing. The shelf is empty. You blink, thinking maybe you're just early or late. But no, they're gone. Sounds far-fetched? It's not. This is the quiet storm brewing from deep economic shifts, broken supply chains, rising tariffs, and something far bigger, global instability. And it's no longer just headlines, it's becoming reality. Are we heading into a future where the basic foods we rely on every day start vanishing without warning? Today, we're revealing 10 everyday grocery items that could soon disappear from your shopping list, items you thought would always be there. This isn't about fear, it's a wake-up call, a signal for families everywhere to pay attention, because the impact might hit closer to home than you think. Welcome back. I'm Grant Mercer, and you're about to discover what's slipping through our fingers, starting with number 1. Coffee. Coffee, a morning ritual under threat. Picture this. You wake up groggy on a cold winter morning, your eyes barely open. You shuffle to the kitchen, reaching for the one thing that jumpstarts your day, a warm, comforting cup of coffee. But today, there's nothing. The tin is empty. Or worse, coffee is now so expensive you hesitate before buying your next bag. This isn't just a bad dream. It's happening, slowly but surely. Coffee prices in the US have been climbing steadily. But it's not just about money. It's about availability. Droughts, floods, and extreme weather, fueled by climate change, are wiping out harvests in coffee-growing giants like Brazil and Colombia. These aren't just small disruptions. Entire regions are struggling to grow quality beans. And as if that wasn't enough, global shipping delays, rising fuel prices, and new trade barriers are making it harder and more expensive for coffee to reach your local store. The result? What used to be a daily habit, a comfort, a moment of peace is slowly becoming a luxury. Families who relied on coffee as a morning ritual are now facing tough decisions. Should they cut back, switch to alternatives, or give it up altogether? For many workers, especially in lower-income households, losing access to an affordable cup of coffee is more than inconvenient. It's demoralizing. Coffee isn't just a drink. It's a moment to breathe, a pause in the chaos, a way to reconnect with yourself or with others. But now, that moment is slipping away. So the question is, what happens to our mornings when coffee disappears? Number 2, rice, a silent crisis in every kitchen. It's hard to believe that something as ordinary as rice could become a luxury. But in just a matter of months, the price of long-grain white rice in the US has jumped more than 20%. According to USDA data, the average price reached $84 per ton in 2024, levels we haven't seen since the 2008 financial crisis. For many, this is more than a price hike. It's a threat to the very foundation of their meals. In households across America, rice is more than just a side dish, it's a lifeline. A filling, reliable food that stretches across plates and helps feed families night after night. But that comfort is starting to fade. Shelves that once held mountains of 5-pound rice bags are now cleared within days, sometimes hours. What used to be the most affordable meal option is now disappearing from carts as panic buying and hoarding take hold. But what's really behind the shortage? The problem starts overseas. India, which supplies over 40% of the world's commercial rice, has slammed the brakes on exports. This sudden halt sent shockwaves through global markets, spiking prices and draining supply chains dry. On top of that, transportation bottlenecks, rising fuel costs, and growing political tensions are choking the flow of rice from Asia to the US. Rice has long been a symbol of stability. Just a little can feed an entire family. But now, even this humble staple is being dragged into the inflation storm. And it's not just a problem for faraway nations, it's here, in our own backyard. From Walmart to Costco, even Target, the rising cost of a simple bag of rice is sending a chill down every shopper's spine. This isn't just about money. It's about the feeling of not knowing what will be there when you next walk into the store. That feeling of uncertainty is creeping into something as basic as dinner. And that, perhaps, is the most unsettling part of all. Number 3, olive oil, when liquid gold becomes unreachable. For years, olive oil was a trusted friend in the kitchen, a heart-healthy, flavorful choice that added magic to every meal. But now its old nickname is taking on a darker meaning. Liquid gold has never felt so literal. In 2025, the price of a bottle of extra virgin olive oil has soared past $12 in many stores, more expensive than a good cut of steak. And this isn't happening in upscale boutique shops. These prices are showing up in everyday supermarkets across the country. So, what's going on? To understand the crisis, we have to look across the Atlantic, at the sun-scorched fields of Spain and Italy. These two countries produce over 65% of the world's olive oil. But in recent years, they've been baking under extreme heat. Temperatures reaching 45 degrees Celsius, 113 degrees Fahrenheit, and record-breaking droughts have devastated olive trees, with Spain alone seeing a 60% drop in production in 2024. With harvests dwindling, the U.S., which relies heavily on imports, has been hit hard. The shelves may still be full, but at prices that make shoppers flinch. What used to be a healthy, budget-friendly staple has now become too expensive for many families. And the consequences are bigger than they seem. As prices climb, people are forced to turn to cheaper cooking oils, many of which are less nutritious and higher in cholesterol. It's not a choice anyone wants to make, but for many, it's the only one they can afford. So now that familiar green bottle sits untouched on store shelves, not because it's gone, but because it's out of reach. The quiet disappearance of olive oil from everyday meals might just be the start of a much bigger shift in how we eat and what we can no longer afford to enjoy. Number 4. Potato chips. The crunch is fading. Remember that feeling? You rip open a fresh bag of Lay's, that first crunchy bite, laughter echoing during lunch breaks, or the smell of salty fries drifting through your car window at a McDonald's drive-thru. Potato chips aren't just a snack, they're a part of American life, a memory, a mood, a moment of joy in the middle of the day. But here in 2025, that familiar crunch is starting to go silent. Potato chips, French fries, hash browns, they're all becoming less visible in our kitchens, store shelves, and even fast food trays. And no, it's not just because people are eating healthier. The real reason runs much deeper, and it starts with the potato itself. In the past year alone, the price of raw potatoes has shot up by nearly 35%, according to USDA data. Why? Poor harvests in Idaho, America's potato heartland, are playing a huge part. Bad weather, unpredictable seasons, and climate stress are slashing crop yields. Add to that the rising cost of transportation, packaging, and labor, all driven by inflation and fuel spikes, and the pressure on snack producers is immense. What's happening next is something you've probably noticed without realizing: shrinkflation. Brands are quietly reducing the size of chip bags while keeping the price the same. You open it and it's mostly air. Meanwhile, fast food combos are shrinking. The fries are fewer, the price is higher. And suddenly, that familiar comfort doesn't feel so comforting. Sure, chips aren't an essential item, but in tough times, they offer a little escape, a sense of normalcy, something simple to look forward to. When even that becomes a stretch, it's more than just a snack that's disappearing, it's a part of everyday joy slowly fading away. Number 5, imported spices, the disappearing flavor of home. It's a cold evening. You're simmering a pot of homemade chicken soup, the smell filling your kitchen. You reach for the pepper jar, almost empty. The ginger powder? Gone. And suddenly, a simple meal feels incomplete. This isn't just bad pantry planning, it's a growing crisis in America's spice racks. Imported spices, once common in kitchens across the country, are quietly vanishing. Staples like Vietnamese black pepper, Indian cinnamon, Indonesian nutmeg, and ground ginger or garlic are either hard to find or shockingly expensive. Why? It comes down to a mix of rising global tensions and logistical chaos. Over the last year, the cost of importing spices has jumped over 40%, according to the U.S. Census Bureau of Commerce. Tariffs on goods from Asia and Africa, combined with skyrocketing shipping fees, container shortages, and jammed-up ports, have turned a smooth trade route into a bottleneck. The impact? Spices are no longer a given. A small jar of black pepper now costs nearly twice what it did last year. Turmeric, once a golden go-to in curries or lattes, is disappearing from shelves at places like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's. And for many families, especially immigrant communities, this isn't just about flavor. These spices are the soul of their cuisine, a connection to their culture and childhood memories. When spices vanish, it's not just your food that changes, it's your ability to cook the meals that bring comfort, warmth, and identity to your home. And when that's taken away, even your own kitchen starts to feel unfamiliar. Number 6. Cocoa, the chocolate crisis. No one saw coming. Imagine this. You walk down the snack aisle, reaching for your usual chocolate bar. Maybe it's your kid's favorite after-school treat or the hot cocoa mix you love on a chilly evening. But the price? Double what it used to be. And in some stores, there's nothing left on the shelf at all. This isn't some far-off future. It's happening now. Cocoa, the heart and soul of all things chocolate, is going through its worst crisis in decades. In 2024 and into 2025, cocoa prices exploded, rising by more than 130% in just 1 year. And the reason? Trouble where it all begins. The farms. 2 countries, Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana, produce over 60% of the world's cocoa. But their crops are under siege. Unpredictable rains, the El Niño climate pattern, and aggressive crop diseases like root rot and fungal infections have devastated production. These farms, already fragile, simply can't keep up with the world's growing hunger for chocolate. For U.S. consumers, it means one thing: cocoa is slipping out of reach. Supermarket prices are rising fast. The cost of chocolate bars, cereals, cookies, and cocoa powder is up between 30% and 50% depending on the brand and where you live. A container of cocoa powder that once cost $6 now sits on shelves at $12, if you can even find it. Smaller shops are hit hardest. Some are slashing orders or ditching cocoa-based products altogether because importing has become too costly. Bakeries and cafes, without long-term supplier deals, are scrambling, raising prices or replacing cocoa with inferior substitutes. If this trend doesn't slow down, cocoa might become less of a pantry staple and more of a luxury. Families across America could soon face birthdays, holidays, and cozy winter nights without chocolate. Just think, how would that feel? Number 7. Affordable frozen seafood, the vanishing budget protein. You pull open the freezer door, hoping to grab that trusted bag of frozen shrimp or white fish fillets, something quick, healthy, and affordable for dinner. But it's either missing or way out of your price range. Frozen seafood, once a go-to for working-class families and busy home cooks, is vanishing before our eyes. Here's the truth behind it. America depends heavily on imported frozen seafood from countries like Vietnam, India, Thailand, and China. These places supply most of our low-cost frozen shrimp, squid, and fish, keeping supermarket prices within reach. But now, everything's changed. Since 2023, the U.S. government has imposed steep anti-dumping duties and tariffs on many of these imports in a bid to protect domestic fisheries. While the intentions were political and economic, the result is painfully clear on grocery bills. Import prices are soaring. It doesn't stop there. Add rising fuel costs, cold storage expenses, and labor shortages at shipping ports, and you've got a perfect storm. The cost of simply getting seafood from ocean to freezer has doubled in some cases. The fallout? Families are turning away from seafood, not because they want to, but because they have to. Cheaper protein options like processed meats are taking over again. And for those who relied on seafood for health reasons, the loss is even greater. This isn't about luxury lobster or expensive sushi. We're talking about frozen tilapia, frozen shrimp, the affordable, everyday kind that used to stretch across a week's worth of meals. And now, it's slowly disappearing, priced out of the average family's hands. But it's not just global politics or overseas supply chains causing this crisis. Right here at home, the United States is facing its own alarming shortage of seafood. In regions like the Gulf of Mexico, the West Coast, and Alaska, fish catches have plummeted. Why? Climate change. It's throwing marine ecosystems into chaos. Warmer ocean temperatures, longer droughts, colder winters, and disrupted current patterns are driving fish away from traditional breeding grounds. According to NOAA, U.S. seafood landings dropped a staggering 17% in 2024 compared to the 5-year average. And the effects are surfacing quickly in your local grocery store. In many Midwestern supermarkets, basic frozen shrimp that once cost $7.99 per pound now sits at over $12, and that jump happened in just 8 months. Those budget-friendly frozen fish fillets we've all leaned on for quick dinners. Scarcer, and significantly more expensive. For many families already struggling to stretch paychecks, this isn't just an inconvenience, it's a turning point. People are switching to dried beans, canned meats, or skipping seafood entirely. But here's the bigger picture. The slow disappearance of affordable frozen seafood is more than a price issue. It's a red flag, proof that accessible, healthy food is becoming harder to afford in America. We're entering a time where even basic nutrition may be out of reach for the everyday family. Number 8. Almonds, the disappearing super snack. Let's talk about almonds, the crunchy snack you toss into a lunchbox, the nut milk in your morning smoothie, the protein-packed butter spread on toast. Once hailed as the perfect healthy food, almonds are now facing a perfect storm. What most people don't realize is that over 80% of the world's almonds come from one place, California. And California is in trouble. For years, the state has battled relentless droughts, but almonds are a thirsty crop. Just 16 almonds need nearly 15 liters of water to grow. Let that sink in. 15 liters. In a region starved for water, that's a dangerous equation. As water becomes harder to secure, many farmers are walking away. Some are switching to less water-intensive crops. Others are reducing almond acreage entirely. At the same time, another crisis is unfolding. The pollinators are disappearing. Bees, yes, bees, are vital to almond production. But declining bee populations have left growers scrambling. Beekeepers now charge massive fees to rent hives during bloom season, and even then, it's not enough. All of this is pushing prices sky high. In 2024 alone, the cost of whole almonds jumped nearly 28%, according to the Almond Board of California. That rise is showing up in everything from almond milk and nut butters to breakfast bars and cereals. For working families who've relied on almonds as a healthy plant-based protein, the rising cost is forcing tough choices. Some are replacing them with cheaper, less nutritious alternatives, products that offer calories but not real nourishment. Almonds once symbolized a modern, healthy lifestyle, quick, natural, and nutritious. But now, they're slowly becoming a luxury. If the droughts don't ease, if bee populations continue to decline, and if prices keep climbing, you might one day look at a bag of almonds and think twice. Not because you don't want them, but because you simply can't afford them. Number 9. Tropical fruit, nature's candy, now a luxury. Picture this. It's a sweltering summer morning, and you stroll into your local supermarket. You pass the produce aisle, scanning for something refreshing. Golden bananas, ripe pineapples, plump mangoes, nature's candy, always there, always affordable. Or so you thought. Now as you look closer, something's changed. The shelves aren't as full. The prices? Eye-watering. That 39-cent banana is now 59 cents. Mangoes, nearly $2 each. And avocados? You'd better brace yourself. What was once a colorful, sweet staple in American homes is becoming harder to find and even harder to afford. The reason? A complex mix of climate chaos and shipping nightmares. Let's start at the source. Countries like Costa Rica, Ecuador, Mexico, the Philippines, and Thailand, America's biggest suppliers of tropical fruits, are all in crisis. Floods, erratic rainfall, droughts, and tropical storms are devastating fruit harvests. In Mexico, mango production dropped 15% last year after relentless rains ruined crops. In Ecuador and Costa Rica, banana plantations have been battered by storms and unpredictable wet seasons, cutting yields drastically. And that's just the weather. Getting these fruits to your grocery store requires cold storage, long-distance shipping, and careful timing. But in 2025, global supply chains are more fragile than ever. U.S. ports in California and Florida, key entry points for tropical imports, are backed up with vessel delays, labor shortages, and rising fuel costs. The result? By the time those bananas or papayas reach the store, they're rarer, more expensive, and less fresh. USDA data shows banana prices alone have jumped over 30% in the last year. Pineapples, papayas, and avocados are following the same path, turning everyday items into occasional treats. For many American families, this means no more grabbing a banana for breakfast or slicing a mango for the kids after school. Fruit bowls are emptier, smoothies are simpler. That tropical touch of sweetness, fading fast. This isn't just a minor shift in diet, it's another sign of a broken global food system, where even the most familiar, humble fruits are slipping out of reach. Number 10. Canned foods, a trusted lifeline on the brink. For generations, canned foods have been a quiet hero in American households. Whether it's tuna on toast, a quick can of beans, or a ready-to-eat stew after a long shift, these humble staples have filled shelves and stomachs, especially in times of crisis. But in 2025, even canned goods are slipping away from the everyday grocery cart. What's happening? It starts with a raw material crunch. The seafood and agriculture sectors, the lifeblood of many canned products, are under enormous strain. Tuna populations are shrinking due to overfishing and warming oceans. Processing plants overseas are struggling to maintain supply. With rising fuel prices and global shipping delays, getting canned tuna to U.S. stores is harder than ever. As a result, supermarket shelves show fewer cans, and prices are up roughly 20% compared to last year. But it doesn't stop at seafood. Canned vegetables, like beans, corn, and tomatoes, are also getting hit. Extreme weather and poor harvests have slashed crop yields. Farmers can't meet demand, and manufacturers can't find enough ingredients to keep canning lines running. Meanwhile, shortages of aluminum for cans, rising labor costs, and energy-hungry production lines are pushing prices even higher. And here's the kicker. Producing canned foods takes a lot of electricity, fuel, and cold storage. With energy costs skyrocketing, especially over the past year, the cost of keeping canned foods on shelves is becoming unsustainable for some producers. What does that mean for families? For many low and middle-income households, canned goods aren't just convenient. They're essential. They're affordable, long-lasting, and easy to store. But with prices climbing and availability shrinking, more families are being forced to cut back or swap canned meals for less nutritious, more processed alternatives. And in emergencies, from hurricanes to power outages to pandemics, canned foods have always been a go-to. They're stable, dependable. But that security is no longer guaranteed. This isn't just about a can of beans, it's about access, resilience, and what we can rely on in hard times. From potato chips to canned foods, from cocoa to tropical fruits, this list proves one thing. Even the most familiar items on our shelves are vulnerable. Climate change, global unrest, inflation, and supply chain breakdowns are reshaping what we eat, how we shop, and what we can afford. This doesn't have to mean panic, but it does call for preparation. Rethinking our habits, exploring local alternatives, and staying informed are now more important than ever. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss an update on how the world is changing and how to adapt with it. And it's not just about what's vanishing, it's about what's replacing it. As staples like canned goods, tropical fruits, and affordable seafood disappear, we're seeing a surge in highly processed, preservative-laden alternatives filling the void. These replacements are often cheaper in the short term but come with long-term health costs, from excess sodium to hidden sugars and synthetic additives. Even more concerning, food insecurity is rising. According to a recent USDA report, over 44 million Americans, including 13 million children, experienced food insecurity in 2024. That number is expected to rise in 2025 if inflation and supply disruptions continue. When basic items become unaffordable or unavailable, lower-income families bear the brunt, forced to choose between nutrition and survival. Meanwhile, major food producers are shifting strategies. To cope with supply shortages, companies are increasingly relying on shrinkflation, reducing package sizes without lowering prices, and reformulating products with cheaper fillers. Some chocolate bars now contain less cocoa and more palm oil. Fruit juices are being blended with added sugars or cheaper apple base instead of tropical fruits. It's a subtle change, but it matters. Here's another hidden cost: mental health. The inability to buy familiar foods, like your favorite chocolate bar or a can of soup you grew up with, can quietly chip away at a sense of normalcy and comfort. Psychologists call this food nostalgia, and losing it can affect emotional well-being, especially in uncertain times. But it's not all doom and gloom. This shift can also be an opportunity to discover local produce, learn home preserving techniques, or support small farmers at community markets. Urban gardening is booming, with more families growing herbs, tomatoes, and beans on balconies or backyards to supplement rising grocery costs. It's a powerful step toward food resilience. Here are 3 quick tips to prepare. 1. Stock smart, not panic buy. Focus on versatile, long-lasting items like dried legumes, whole grains, and frozen vegetables that offer high nutrition per dollar. 2. Diversify your pantry. Try new plant-based proteins like lentils, chickpeas, or even canned jackfruit to replace costly meats and seafood. 3. Follow food trend reports. Staying aware of rising prices and product availability can help you shop smarter and spot deals before shortages hit. As we move deeper into 2025, one truth becomes clear. Our food landscape is changing. And while that may seem unsettling, knowledge is your best defense. Knowing what's vanishing, why it matters, and what to do next gives you the power to adapt, save money, and protect your family's well-being. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you for staying informed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update on critical changes affecting your daily life. See you in the next video, and until then, stay smart, stay stocked, and stay safe.